Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we are going to be taking a look at the new Finch 1929. Before I start off here, I want to throw this out there. One of my biggest challenges, or one of my bigger goals when I started this channel, was to build relationships with knife makers, knife companies, knife retailers, to try and, build connections, build trust, to help me bring more products to you guys, for good review, good content, current content, and, I'm very happy and pleased to announce that this knife here was the first knife that has ever been sent to me for review by a company. Finch reached out to me after they saw my review on their Takuna and said, "Hey, have you had the 1929 in hand yet?" I said, "No." And he said, "Well, hey, let me send you one and see what you think." So I want to send a special, sincere thank you to Finch Knife Company for sending this my way to review. I know this has been reviewed by some people already, but I was still super excited to get it in my hand, and I truly, truly, greatly and genuinely appreciate you guys trusting my word and sending me one of your knives my way. It means a lot to me, and I think of it as a big step forward with this channel. And I hope to continue this with other companies and retailers and makers and whoever wants to send me something to review. So thank you very, very much for that. With that said, I'm not going to let it hinder my opinion or judgment of this knife. I don't necessarily think that by doing that, though, they picked out the perfect, ultimate edition or, flawless knife from the whole batch to send to me. Because anymore, guys, these knives are being made, whether they're in America or China, the quality on all of them are pretty darn good. This is no exception. The Takuna that I purchased with my own money was no exception. I got a random Takuna, and it was almost flawless. And a lot of them are. So I'm going to throw it out there and say thank you and say, we'll see, just kind of give it the old, the Nick Shabazz forewarning that this was sent to me, but I really don't think that means anything. I expect the quality on all these knives to be very consistent from what I've seen from his other models. I've never gotten a lemon, and it's been a long time since I've got a lemon, so say, when it comes to quality of knives, especially if you're buying a decent name. It just doesn't happen that much anymore. So for whatever it's worth, there's that. But again, Finch, thank you very, very much. I greatly appreciate it. And now, let's, without any further ado, let's move on. Some specs of this knife. Overall length, 6 inches. Blade length, 2.5 inches. Cutting edge, 2.5 inches. Blade width, 0.875 inches. Blade thickness coming in at 0.12. So not too thick. That's a nice thickness in my eyes. It's kind of a good medium. Blade material, 154 cm. So a very, very friendly steel to sharpen, and it's going to keep the rust off it. So that's very nice. Got a clip point blade with a satin flat grind. I've got a lot of things to say about this blade. I'm a big fan of this blade. Handle length, 3.5 inches. Handle width, 0.875 inches. Handle thickness, 0.44 inches. This one happens to have the carbon fiber inlays for the scales. There's a couple other models. One has a natural G10 and another one with Cocobolo wood scales. I like the carbon fiber a lot more than I thought I would. I was drooling over the Cocobolo scales. I don't have a lot of wooden scales, and for a knife of this style, I thought it was perfect. But, man, I got this, and, well, we'll touch more on it later, but long story short, I'm very pleased with it. Weight, 3.15 ounces, so, maybe for the blade size, it's a little on the heavy side, but that weight you feel in quality, in durability. I'll say that right now. Pocket clip, tip up, right hand carry only. That's going to piss off 10% of you guys, but it makes me really happy because I don't like seeing any blemishes on this side. So applause for me on that one. And a price of $115. And as I go through this review, you will see that $115 for this knife, it's about as fair as you can get. there's not a whole lot more you can ask for $115. And we'll touch on some of those points right now. But first, well, no, not right now. First, size comparisons. Let's do a few size comparisons real quick. Can I get it to stand up? Nope, I can't. But there's a look at it right there. Now it's going to fall down. Okay, here we go. We got the Benchmade Bug Out. And we have the PM2. Two of the big hitters. Everyone knows and loves them. So as you can see, it's not a big knife. This is a small traditional gentleman's knife, and it's executed very well. Let's pull a couple other knives. They're a little closer in size to it. Here we got the Civivi Elementum, which is still actually considerably longer, and the Civivi McKenna, which is a little closer, but you'll notice, though, for the 2.5-inch blade length, and it does, the handle on it is kind of stubby. It's meant to be like that. It's part of the modern traditional look for this guy. So I will say this, for as short as it looks to these knives, it really doesn't feel that short in hand. And I'll tell you why. Because you have the McKenna right here that has a good, good ergos. Nothing wrong with them. But, it comes out to about my pinky. I guess you can call it 4 fingers, but my pinky doesn't really have a lot of purchase, so it's really just these 3 fingers with my pinky wrapping around it. And, on here, you have kind of the same thing. My pinky wraps around the back. Excuse me. Still had an early morning of flight, so I'm still, I guess I'm still catching up with the rest of this day. But like I said, it fits the hand similar to the McKenna, and you can also choke up on this, and we'll get more on that, but in my opinion, you can't choke up on this for light detail work, so I like that. Let's get these guys out of the way, and now let's dive into this beaut. So the blade. What don't I like about this blade? First, let's get that out of the way, because there's not much, but one thing that I don't really like about the blade is really just on the back here. Where it's got the blade steel, which is I always like seeing the blade steel on it. Really, even if it's like a lesser steel, just so I know what it is. But I would like to see the 154 cm right down here at the base, and then have that model 1929 moved up right where 154 cm is, and then you'd have in my opinion, a flawlessly executed blade. That's the only real eye blemish I see on here is just a placement of that, and that's nothing. I mean, that's, we're kind of nitpicking at this point, and again, that's just personal preference. One thing I will say that I like what they did with this, though, because they could have really screwed this up. They could have made this look really bad if they would have put it a little higher up on the blade, so it would have been sticking up, but they didn't. So when you close the blade, it looks very clean. It looks really, really nice. Even the Finch on the front is pretty much fully hidden. You can just barely see it. You don't even notice it. You got to really look for it. So I like that. I like how they hid all the branding when the blade is closed. That's very nice. So yeah, if you can move that back, move it as I said, that would be a little better. But that's about the only improvement you can really make on this blade. I like the Finch there. I like the font. I like the size of it. The modern traditionals, or even the older traditionals, I feel like there was always some type of, some branding somewhere. And to have it up there, there's something about a traditional like this, modern traditional, and the name Finch. It just sounds like a good name to put on a modern traditional. So I like that. I like the, it's almost like it gives it a little more character having that Finch on it. So I really like that a lot. Another thing that is probably my favorite thing about this blade is the fact that it doesn't have a nail nick. I really, guys, I think I've said this before, but I hate nail nicks. And you could have easily put a nail nick on this blade right there to pull it up. And thank you for not doing that, because the action's great. The flipper's good. You don't need a nail nick. So it makes the blade look extra clean and it really stands out. I like the width on the blade, the height or the width, whatever you want to call it, from here to here. It gives it a nice, good belly. It gives it a good proportion with the handle, and it just makes an extra attractive piece. And they put a nice edge on this. This guy will do some work. This will slice just fine. Not a weak tip, but it comes down to a very nice, fine edge. Kind of reminds me of the Dapper that Giant Mouse collabed with Blade HQ on as far as the blade and even the ergos. This is a nicely executed, very well designed knife that could be stacked up with some higher dollar knives. So very nice to see with it. Like I said before, the Finch branding is great. We're gonna touch a little more on the Finch branding here in a second. But yeah, so very well executed blade, and the jimping up here. The jimping, I guess this is technically on the blade, but it kind of falls in line with the scales and the handle. So, so I don't know that. Well, we'll cover that next anyway. So yeah, the scales, the handles and ergos on this guy are, for a small knife, good. Excuse me, gosh, you choke up a little, and you got it in good hand right here. You can do any type of, nice cutting, your finger, you can get it all the way to the top, do some nice draw cuts. But this little jimping right here, just, again, it gives your finger a nice place to rest. You don't want to do any hard cutting because then you could, potentially cut yourself. But it gives a really good little grip right there, and you can securely put all your fingers on the knife. So I like that. I really like that about this guy a lot. Really good ergos for a small knife. Another thing that I really enjoy about this handle is the bolster to scale ratio. I've seen some other knives where the bolster comes down like 2/3 of the way, or even like almost halfway, and I think it's just gaudy. Finch did a really good job of managing this to come down to over a quarter, but not quite a full third, maybe a third, but the width and the length, it looks nice with the milled lines there, the clean, simple screw here that you see on the back. It goes together very well. I really like the Finch logo placement on the handle. And again, I really like the way the design of this knife and the design of their logo tie together. They complement each other, from the name and the design to the overall style of this modern traditional. It's a really nice combination. This was a match made to be. And the pocket clip on this guy, the pocket clip is very good, and I love the fact that it has a pocket clip, because a lot of modern traditionals don't. They're just slip joints, and you just put them in your pocket. And I don't have any slip joints, guys. Well, I take it back. I have an Open L, and I have a Swiss Army knife that I got from Switzerland and France when I was over there, just as more like souvenirs. But I don't carry them a whole lot, a little, but not very often, because they don't have clips. I really, really, really prefer pocket clips with my knives. So, but I've always liked the style of modern traditionals. So to have the style executed with, more premium materials, and it has a pocket clip, I'm really digging that. This is going to get carried a lot. It could even be, I could probably even fit this in my fifth pocket, and it would be an excellent fifth pocket carry. So that's probably something I'm going to be doing a lot with this knife. One thing that I guess could be looked at or addressed in the future a little is up here there's a lot of space. So this is running on bearings. And you can see the bearings down there. I don't have a flat. You can kind of see it right there. But there's also a pretty big milled section up out here that I don't know if they did that for weight or if they did it probably for functionality of some sort. And that's fine. I'm not really worried about it. I'm just wondering if a lot of dust, or not dust, but like pocket lint and stuff will get pushed in there. But, guys, again, you got to keep in mind, it's not a ZT. It's not a heavy use knife. It's a light EDC knife. So, it's in the price point represents that. If this was a, $250 knife, maybe you'd want, tighter tolerances. Well, the tolerances are tight, but maybe you wouldn't want that space because you plan on doing a lot more, heavier work, bearing down on it, getting it dirty. I'm going to carry this knife when I want to dress up. I'm going to carry it when I want to just hang around town, maybe go to church, the library, the mall, something where it's just going to involve just light, very light cutting tasks, and add a nice flair to it. So that extra space in there, it doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me much at all. I don't think it'll ever play into account of any real bad problems with the knife. And again, you should be cleaning your knives anyway. So you could even reach this. You wouldn't even have to take it apart probably to get anything out of there, you know. But again, I clean my knives all the time, so to me this is no big deal. Just kind of thought it was worth point out a little more detail. But now the bolster. And so the way these bolsters are in with the overall liners, it feels very solid in hand. Like I said, it's a little on the heavy side if you use that blade to ounce ratio, which I really don't put much faith in at all. 3.15 ounces, guys. This isn't gonna be pulling your pants down. If it is, get a belt. But it feels very solid. I like the little bit of extra weight because when I pull it out, it just it sits well in my hand. I get a good purchase, and I feel like I'm holding something that has some substance to it, some strength, where I can squeeze it. And if I ever really wanted to, if I had to really muscle through a cut or really dig into something, I could do it with this and not worry about any blade play after or anything being torqued on it or twisted around. So I really like that. This has a very solid build for $115. It's one of the more solid builds that I've had in my hand. So props to Finch on that one. The action. Get to the action on this guy. It's really good. It's not a knife where you want to push a lot. It comes out when you push, and it comes out just fine. The deployment is almost automatic all the time. I think you get just a hair better action when you pull down. When you pull down, it really rockets out. I mean, it flies out when you pull down. And that feels really good. Just a quick boom. But you can also just kind of do the push, and it comes out pretty well. You could have a misfire if you don't do it really hard, but again, you kind of have to try to do that. The detent's pretty good on this guy. No complaints on the detent. I wouldn't, in all honesty, I don't think I'd make it any softer or any stronger. Once you get it down, it's automatic all day. And it's smooth. I think some of that has to go with the weight, too. Like I said, it's got that heavier feel. And to me, knives that are a little heavier, maybe it's just me, but I feel like they always feel a little smoother. And I think that's just the overall weight balance. The blade is not super thick, but not super thin. And when you mix it with the stainless steel liners and the overall construction of it, it's just very solid, and it's just really nice and smooth. So that's always nice, because usually, the old traditionals, they're slip joints, or they're not made to this caliber with this quality. So you really kind of have to have one of these in your hands to truly appreciate it. I didn't think I was going to appreciate this as much as I did. I really liked the Takuna, and I kind of figured I would still like the Takuna more than this after I've had them both in hand. But I gotta say, at this point, we're at a toss-up right now. And after I carry this a little more, I could probably give a definitive answer. But right now, I'm impressed. I think I like the blade on this guy better than Takuna. And I think I don't know. Gosh. Well, I'll give an update on my Instagram on this. If you guys aren't following me on Instagram, be sure and look me up. It's Wayne Sharp World, just like the YouTube channel. And I definitely touch up on knives from time to time, give a little longer term updates with just a pick and description. So if you're not following on me there, look me up. But overall, this is another great offering from Finch. Finch does a really good job of putting their own unique touches on knives, and I'm going to deem it the Finch Flair, because I've seen enough of it now. I've seen at least 3 models from them. I've seen the Takuna, I've seen this 1929, and there was another one that came out before the 1929 and the Takuna. I think it was the first one I saw from them. That one had a nail nick, so I wasn't drooling over it, but the overall design of it, again, was unique, and it was still attractive. Even with the nail nick, it still pulled my attention. I almost pulled the trigger on it. I can't even remember the name of it, but a new run of them just came through on Blade HQ. Look up Finch, look up the new arrivals on Blade HQ, and there's a new Finch arrival. The name is escaping me right now. But between those three designs, Finch is really coming onto the scene pretty strong, in my opinion. There's no quality defects. Smooth, well thought out designs. Great branding. Some companies can really just mess up the branding and their logo. They can just kind of come off as cheesy or gaudy. But Finch has a nice package, a very well put together package of quality, branding, design, affordability. You know, they haven't come out with any knife over, I think, $150 at this point. So you can't knock them for price and value. You're really getting a good bang for your buck. So definitely, if you haven't looked into them, guys, wake up, take a look at them, because they're pretty damn good. They have a new model coming out this fall called the Holiday. The actual base of it is kind of similar to this, a little straighter lines, but it kind of reminded me of this, and except it's a Warney. And I don't know the blade length on it, but it is a very attractive looking knife. Look it up on their Instagram. There's a picture. It's one of the earlier pictures in their Instagram, or one of the more latest pictures in their Instagram. It's called the Holiday, HOLLIDAY. And it looks really, really sweet. I'm definitely going to get my hands on that one way or another, because that one looked, so far, now that I've had these two in my hands, I think that one might be my favorite design so far. So yeah, if you haven't really looked into Finch yet, take a look at them. Look up the Holiday, look up this 1929, and definitely check out the Takuna. That Takuna is sweet. And if you like a little smaller knives, the other one, I kind of want to say it's called the Cricket, but I don't know why I'm saying that. That's probably not right. But look it up. It's a Finch design, and it's one of the newer arrivals on Blade HQ. All pretty attractive, and they're all very unique. You can't find a lot of knives to compare them to, which is one of the reasons that I'm really attracted to them. I love different designs, because there's so many designs nowadays that you kind of feel like they're getting, an idea from here, an idea from there, and Finch is just bringing stuff straight out of left field that, you don't see a lot. I really, really appreciate that. So this has turned out to be a little long one, but for a lot of good reasons. So I'm going to wrap this up, guys. This is the Finch 1929. Look it up. If you like this video, please give me a follow, give me a like. I've got a very good review coming tomorrow of jumbo proportions. We'll just leave it at that. Until then, you guys have a great Friday and a great weekend. Take care. Bye.